Matt Walsh has finally awakened. Hallelujah. In a recent video that Matt Walsh published, he talks about the Epstein files, but specifically there's a section in the video where he identifies finally the idea of Jewish supremacy that runs rampant across the Epstein files. The use of the word Goyim, for instance, is repeated ad nauseum. Now there's a conflict at hand because Matt Walsh works at the Daily Wire, which is owned and operated by Ben Shapiro. Well, anyway, in this video, we're gonna watch and react to this moment, this epiphany, if you will, as he goes through the Epstein files. Let's take a look.
He also expresses an overt preference for Jewish people many times without mincing words. For logistical reasons, we'll settle for just a few examples. There are many more, but here's a 2015 email in which Epstein advises the banker, Ariane de Rothschild, on how to build an advisory board.
The Rothschilds.
And
Jeez Louise.
he writes, quote, "No diplomats, etc., not Africans, serious people with a strong finance operations reputation, not charity, preferable some Jews." Then there's this email from somebody named Mark Fisher to Epstein in March of 2010, quote, "Thought about our conversation, remeditation. Actually, it's not that hard. Why? A Jewish soul has a very different structure, different ingredients, components, relates to its higher levels differently, has different higher levels, relates to itself and other people in a different manner than a non-Jewish soul."
Time out. We can't just gloss over that. So there's a belief that the Jewish soul is in some way different, molecularly different than the Goyim soul. That is f***ing insane.
So Jewish souls have a different structure, evidently, whatever that means exactly. But here's maybe the most quotable one that maybe you've seen quoted already. It begins with Epstein writing to his assistant in August of 2010, quote, "Dubin, Dershowitz, Zuckerman all said yes to September 18th, Yom Kippur. Redemption sounds like a wrestling event. I need you to oversee." And then the assistant responds, "Is it going to be 100% Jew night? Even Perlman on Yum Yum has some Goyim. I'm getting my media elite list fed X'd out for Saturday and will email some names. What about Charlie Rose? Love him. What about Jane Fonda, my new best friend? Nothing like an ex-Jew hater with a Jewish boyfriend to mix it up." Epstein then responds with, quote, "No Goyim in abundance, JP Morgan execs, brilliant wasps." But anyway, yes, Epstein wrote that there will be Goyim in abundance. And in case you're not familiar, in this context, Goyim is a slur directed at non-Jews to imply that they're inferior, along with similar slurs. It appears many, many times in these files.
Now you may feel as if, Goyim's not that bad of a term, right? Some Jews say it. It's just a way to create separation between the Jew and the non-Jew. But you can see right here, this is from the Talmud directly, the Sanhedrin 59a, murdering Goyim is like killing a wild animal. Jeez Louise. And it goes on. I'm not going to read all this. It's not the point of this video, but I just want to give you a little bit of context to what the word Goyim is, but also what it entails.
This is from an email Epstein sent in 2012 to somebody named Josh. And it says, quote, "You asked me to violate a basic conviction of mine and have an abortion. Your mother said it would be in your best interest if I did. You now ask why you should be ashamed. Now that it is the high holy days, it's simple. You behave just like the Goyim. You do not respect. After the holiday, I'll be willing to share a meal. No sex, none. I love you. My Jewish studies said that at 13, you should become a man. It's not too late." Again, there are many more emails like this. There's discussions about how Jews became so wealthy. Epstein writes that they were stingy, unlike Arabs who spent all of their money, which forced the Arabs to borrow money from the Jews. There are also messages like, "The Goyim know how to have a good time," and so on.
That's facts, though. That's facts. The Goyim, we know how to party. You know what I'm saying? We know how to party. Shout out to the Goyims.
2017, former Harvard president Larry Summers asked Epstein for advice on tax breaks in the new law that was being passed by Congress. And Epstein responded, "I don't know of any. They did a great job of closing most, at least for the Goyim." And Summers responded with, "Oh, come on." So he's openly talking like this to pretty much everybody. And yet he was joined at the hip with some of the most powerful people in the world. Now, put simply, throughout most of the history of this country, if you claim that powerful Jewish billionaires and influential figures were constantly saying stuff like this to one another behind closed doors, as a matter of habit, you'd be accused of being a raging anti-Semite. You'd be banned from every social media platform.
And it's happened.
There'd be segments on CBS about what an awful person you are. And then one day, the DOJ dumps 1 million files where Goys and Goyim are being trashed all over the place by the single most well-connected man to ever walk the face of the earth, apparently, along with his associates. And this is bigotry and deserves to be called out. If Epstein were a rich and powerful Christian speaking to other Christians in this demeaning way about Jews, you can bet that it would be noted and condemned.
I would think so.
Same should happen in the reverse. Now, consider the outrage over an anti-Semitic group chat involving random nobodies with no power or influence at all. If bigoted language and demeaning jokes deserve to be called out in that case, then they certainly deserve to be called out when used by some of the most powerful human beings on the face of the planet.
Well, it seems like sort of a full circle moment for Matt Walsh. Now, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with him in the Daily Wire. I'm sure Ben Shapiro is not happy about this video. Now, this was just a section of a longer form video in which he talks about other aspects of the Epstein files, but nevertheless, does feel like there's going to be a little bit of conflict over at the Daily Wire.